Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And Nicola Sturgeon's humiliation is now complete. All three candidates in the race to succeed her as leader of the SNP have announced they're giving up any immediate plans to push for a referendum. They're citing that the time is not right and that they know they do not have the support. Instead, they're going to concentrate on other policies, presumably fixing all the mistakes the SNP have made over the last 8 years. It's about time, and if they can drag themselves away from the constant obsessive push to break up the United Kingdom, they might just make life better for the people of Scotland. Let's look at this article. So, SNP rivals ditch bid to break up Britain. Candidates to succeed Nicola Sturgeon slam the brakes on the de facto referendum plan as candidate likens Scottish independence bid to US succession from the UK. The US never succeeded from the UK. They were a colony who gained independence. It's an entirely different thing. Scotland is not a colony. But anyway, Humza Yousaf, Kate Forbes and Ash Regan all voiced opposition to the plan, and the three candidates said support for independence would need to rise further. It will need to rise one hell of a lot, because it's actually worse now than at the time of the last referendum. The unionist vote is higher and the independence vote is lower than it was then. But anyway, Nicola Sturgeon's strategy for breaking up Britain lies in tatters. Good, after the candidates to succeed her slammed the brakes on another independence vote. The three candidates all agreed yesterday that support for independence would need to rise before they could step up efforts to tear Scotland out of the UK, and critics branded them the Three Stooges as the leadership rivals vowed to focus on boosting support for separation. Now, I must be honest and say I did a video almost a week ago now, and I was the first one to call them the Three Stooges. Ever since then, I've seen it everywhere. So yes, I'm going to claim that was down to me. But anyway, we move on. When asked about the issue of the Scottish independence on BBC Scotland's Sunday show, Miss Regan referred to the American War of Independence and Britain's colonial past to argue that referendums are just one way of breaking free. What, is she just sort of going to declare war on us? Is that what that's going to happen? Good luck, love, you haven't got an army. But anyway, 65 countries have become independent from either the UK or the British Empire over the last while, and most of them didn't actually use referendums. The UK government initially refused permission to recognise, but eventually, because of pressure from international community, they succumbed and eventually agreed to it. And then won, because the people of Scotland voted to remain. And so that makes those three, before they even do a day's work, that makes those three losers. But we knew that. We knew that already. But anyway. Meanwhile, a devastating new report by one of SNP's own economic advisers warned that independence could result in over 250,000 job losses and the economy shrinking by 10%. It would be the worst thing ever for Scotland. And indeed, that's the SNP's own figures. So he's probably trying to put a shine on it. It could possibly be even worse. Scottish Labour Deputy Leader Jackie Baillie said none of the three candidates in the race are fit to run the country. Scotland deserves better than the Three Stooges battling out for Bute House. Craig Hoy, Scottish Conservative chairman, said the bitter infighting was getting worse by the day, and media appearances had shown the only thing the feuding camps had in common was their relentless obsession with tearing apart the United Kingdom at any cost. And we've just seen the cost there. 250,000 jobs. That's 250,000 people unemployed. But it's the families. It's 1 million people affected. When you look at husbands, wives, children. It's so many people made worse off, impoverished, put into misery because of the obsession by these people and who cannot do the job they're actually put into power to do, which is to run the country, to protect the environment, grow the economy, ensure people's safety, ensure people have got health access. Too busy not doing that job, too busy doing the other thing, the independence thing, and people are fed up with it. He added, Kate Forbes, Humza Yousaf and Ash Regan are vying with each other to see who can throw the most red meat to party members on independence. In doing so, they are moving further and further away from the priorities of ordinary Scots, who want and expect their leaders to focus on the cost of living crisis, an NHS which is on its knees, and ending the teachers' strikes. On the BBC's Sunday with Laura Kunsberg, she's just awful anyway, Mr Yousaf said he would be focusing on making support for independence a sustainable majority view. And yet, strangely, Laura Kunsberg didn't ask him any of the hard questions. It's almost as though the BBC are the useful idiots in this, which of course they are in so many ways. He said, if we increase support for independence, make it a sustainable majority, if we create the sustained, settled will, the majority of people supporting independence, then of course those political obstacles that are put in the way by our opposition, they will crumble. Yes, but you will never, ever be able to do that because the people of Scotland are not stupid. And despite what you're deliberately doing to the education system in Scotland, to hopefully make the people of Scotland generally and gradually and slowly over time more and more stupid, because it's the only way you are going to get independence. That'll be the only way you can do it. You absolutely have to destroy the Scottish education system. Oh wait, that's what you've done. That's the plan, isn't it? He said that under his leadership, every election fought by the SNP would be about independence. Did he? He did say that, and so did Ash Regan. In fact, the only one not to go on about it was Kate Forbes. But then she was too busy slagging off gay people and unmarried mothers. So, you take your pick on those three. Anyway, Mr Yousaf, whose bid to become First Minister was endorsed yesterday by former SNP Westminster leader Ian Fatty Blackford, said, I think it is right we energise the membership, that we bring them together and that we have a series of discussions about what route should be the route forward and that the leadership should act on that collective mandate. He's a dick. I keep saying he's a dick and he keeps opening his mouth and proving it. But anyway, he said, let's not wait for a date. Let's not wait for that process. Let's get out there, pound every pavement and look people in the whites of their eyes. But he doesn't like whites, does he? Of their eyes and tell them why they need independence now. And if we get that settled, sustained majority, then independence will absolutely be inevitable. No, nothing is inevitable. And you're coming from a very low base now. The polls have opened up and they're getting worse and worse and worse because people in Scotland see how bad Scotland is when it's only got an SNP government at Holyrood. Imagine the SNP being totally in charge of Scotland, being complete, and there's no fallback, no safety from Westminster. There's no English money going north. The people of Scotland know exactly what would happen to Scotland. And they also know that everyone with money in Scotland would get the hell out. All the capital would go south. All the jobs would go south. They know that. And that is why they dare not vote the SNP in to make independence a thing. Now, you might have an SNP government, but you will never, ever get independence. It's ridiculous. Miss Regan, the former Community Safety Minister, said the party must demonstrate good governance to allow support for independence to rise. Well, bugger me, love. You've had 8 years and you haven't shown one day of good governance yet. When does it start? When do the people of Scotland sit and look, oh, we've got a good government now? Because that hasn't happened from day one, has it? She told the BBC's The Sunday Show in a de facto referendum situation. You see, she keeps using this term de facto referendum. The only de facto referendum is when you've actually been granted an actual referendum. You can call it what you like, but unless it's a referendum, it's not a referendum. And calling it a de facto one when it isn't is bullshit and lies, but you don't expect anything less from these people. But anyway, it's a single issue and a single event, and I don't think we should be fighting the next general election on a single issue. That's not appropriate, it's not wise, and we shouldn't be doing it. But you do. You can't help yourself. And you've said that you want to fight every single vote through the lens of an independence vote. You've said that, but now you're about turning because you know that it's a vote loser. Dear God, how cynical and hypocritical you seem to be. But she confirmed that any votes for the SNP under her leadership would be considered a vote for independence. Well, that is, first of all, it's bullshit, and secondly, it's in direct contravention of the line she said immediately prior to it. You know, she said, I don't think we should be fighting the next election on a single issue, but every vote for the SNP will be considered a vote for independence. There's people out there who will vote for the SNP because I don't know why, for some reason, but they don't necessarily want independence. But you can't accept that. So you're saying every SNP vote is a vote for independence. Well, we know that's Bullshit. Anyway, Miss Regan has set out a plan for, well, oh God, it's an SNP plan, so that'll crash and burn within about 20 minutes. Set out a plan for a voter empowerment strategy, whereby she would declare independence if the SNP and pro-independence parties won a majority of votes in any future elections, and claimed the mandate would have to be recognised by the UK government. She can claim all she likes. It doesn't have to be recognised at all, because you've not had a referendum. Simply voting for a party does not mean compliance with the law, and does not mean that any law passed by it will automatically be legal. You've got no idea on law, you've got no idea on politics, and you've got no idea on how to win a damn election, because you ain't gonna, let's put it this way. Imagine that there was a vote and she's saying that if there's a, if the pro-independence parties get a majority, then that's it, it's independence. That's okay then. What if the pro-unionist parties get the maximum of the vote, get the majority of the vote? Independence is dead in the water then. That you will never even get a fight for it, because you've just admitted that the people of Scotland voted against it. Your line, your rules. You stupid though. Miss Forbes, the finance secretary, also said it was not time for another referendum, and it never will be. She told the Sunday Post, "We need to be on the front foot in preparing the ground and making the case for independence." You've had 100 years of making the case for independence, and guess what? You're not independent now. How long do you need to make the case? If you run out of ideas, you've certainly run out of money. And if you do get independence, you've run out of everything. Food, people, tax money, everything. You've run out of everything, because you'll have nothing. She said, "I would like to be sooner rather than later, but I also want it to be the point when the majority of people can see that independence is the answer on these issues, and we're not there yet, and never will be, because nobody would trust the SNP to run a whelk stall. The Three Stooges, the losers." Anyway, I'm going to round off and come up. These people are delusional if they think that Scotland, independent and run by the SNP, would be a better place to live. It would be impoverished and miserable. Anyone with a job that they could do south of the border would do that job south of the border. The capital would fly south as well. All the money would go south, because you, Scotland, would have to pay far higher taxes to pay for the social services and things, and the money that they want to waste. The SNP want to waste on things as well. Their little vanity projects. That was all got to be paid by someone, and it isn't going to be paid by the English anymore. So Scotland's going to have to pay it itself, and don't be thinking it'll do the oil money any good. Remember, if the Shetland Islands get independence, and there's no reason why they won't, they'll be taking a lot of that oil with them. It's a very rum do. It's a bad day if Scotland goes independent, and the people of Scotland know it. The SNP have had 100 years of convincing you to go independent, and you never have, and you probably never will, because ultimately we are stronger together. You know it, I know it. It's only the idiots in the SNP who don't know it. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for listening. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, do hit that subscribe button right down there. Right now, we are building, we are getting louder, and we are pushing out the message, and it helps us watch these buggers. Ring the bell as well, then you'll know next time I come on and rattle on about something. Leave a like, leave a comment, please, please, please share this video, and until next time, stay safe, stay well, do not vote for the SNP unless your life depends on it, and even then, still don't, and goodbye.